Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. How you doing? Good? Good. Before I start, remember, links below in the description of this video. Get on my email list. Number one, most important thing. If you want us to come to Morocco and the retreat in November, there's a link below. Get on the email list. And I was told a while ago that I'm a bridge. And I looked into this, and that this is one of the terms that Dolores Cannon coined in her work. If you're not familiar with Dolores Cannon, go and look her up. I'm not saying she was right about everything. I know some people find that contentious, but I do think she was the first one that really sort of understood that there were waves of souls coming in to the earth in order to help assist in this shift, in this ascension process. And she got to that information by doing hypnotherapy and past life regressions with thousands and thousands of people. And she kept seeing the same thing pop up with people that were totally unrelated. And she just observed this and started sharing that information. Now, I've done maybe 400 hours of videos on this channel since I started. My first YouTube channel, as you probably know, got taken down. Most of it is archived on the markattwoodshow.com, which the link again is below here, where you can just go to that website and you can see all the videos. And the whole channel was run on an intuitive basis. I have to run it that way. Some people beg me to come on the show, and if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right, or it just happens when it happens. And I've talked about many things on here, and a lot of that has been to do with spiritual healing. And I've interviewed, I think my first few interviews were with spiritual healers, and I've done maybe 100 or plus videos with spiritual healers, because it's that time. We need to be, this whole spiritual quarantine period has really been about looking inside and finding the mountain of light inside you, right? And getting to know who you are, remembering who you are. So it's been really good fun for me to do Akashic record readings, soul realignments, QHHT, which was derived from Dolores Cannon. By the way, I'm going to do a round table about QHHT because I think it's very, very, very interesting, and I'd like to share my experiences on that. So if you are a QHHT practitioner, or if you've had QHHT, get on my email list, because I'm going to be sending a thing out to invite you onto a round table so we can discuss that, because I think it's a very interesting thing to discuss. And I do get thousands of emails a week. I can't answer them all. It literally takes sometimes 20 minutes to read them and then 20 minutes to reply, and there's just not enough time. So I apologize to anybody that emails me and doesn't hear from me. I do my very best, and I'm just following my intuition. And I got an email about a month ago from a young woman who sounded very, very interesting to me, and I wanted to talk to her a couple of weeks ago, but she wasn't quite ready. So I had a healing session with her first, and now I'm going to speak to her. So it's really good to introduce Anya. Hello, Anya.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, I'll speak up. That's the first time I've been told that. I'm a very loud vocal person, so I will definitely use that voice today.
Bit of Yorkshire here in the house.
A bit of Yorkshire. We love a bit of Yorkshire.
We do love a bit of Yorkshire.
Good old Yorkshire.
If any Americans are watching this, go to Yorkshire. If you go to England, go to Yorkshire. It's a different country to the rest of the country.
It really is. We're a whole other place. If anyone struggles to understand, I will try and speak as normal Queen's English as possible.
No. You speak Yorkshire, lass. If I can't understand it, this is their own topic. I was really interested in you, Anya, because you're pretty young to be doing the work that you're doing, but it makes sense to me, because that's why I mentioned Dolores Cannon, because you are a generator.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when did you find that out, and what's your story? How did you get to, start at the beginning.
At the beginning. So I will shorten it down, because I tend to have a tendency to talk a lot. So I will shorten it down. But so I've always been quite open as a child, experienced quite spiritual dreams, very amplified at around the age 13, 14, very highly empathic to others and overwhelmed. My parents were quite open, did not understand really anything to do with like grounding and protection and the basics to it. So I got very overwhelmed and I got quite ill. I was really poorly for about, since the age of 15 to around 21. I was in and out of hospital. I was on 26 tablets a day. I had what's it called, Hectobacteria pylori, a stomach infection in the like the lining, and it caused spasms and abdominal spasms. I'd be on hospital on intravenous morphine, codeines, you name it, any big pharma pill. I've been on it, you know, I've been to one extreme to the other. Now I will not take even a paracetamol. But yeah, so the physical journey is really what triggered and the mental health, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the depression, the isolation, the just feeling so disconnected from who I were, what I was meant to be doing. Everything just felt so wrong. You know, being in school, being indoctrinated, the sister, like I remember thinking at like 15, 16, I remember sat in the car with my mum, like, so is this what we're meant to do then? Like,
I know.
is this
I know.
it? Because I
Is this it?
like, I was thinking like, I'm sure this ain't right, you know, this ain't right with me. And I was really lucky to meet my partner at 11, and we're still together now. And we really kind of had that same, different but same understanding of, he's very rejects authority and that kind of disciplinarian. It's just not in him. So we really found a balance with each other and managed to grow with each other. So when I was in the hospital and it got to the point where, you know, I couldn't really walk on my own, I couldn't get up the stairs on my own, I was having so many side effects from like I was on amitriptyline that they prescribed me for my stomach, and it literally sent me insane. You know, I was hallucinating. It was just such a bad time. So that's where I made the decision, you know, I need to change this in my life. If I don't do something now, I'm going to spend my life this way, you know. So I've made a massive transformational change. I actually went to start meditating, simply just to meditate. And that's where the lady there, she'd been reading about 30 years, and she was like, you know, you need to train. You're so open. So it really just kind of went in a whirlwind from there. So it started off as a healing journey, and it was still that, but it became this journey of learning this world that, you know, I was about 18, 19 years old, and I'd just come out of uni, and, you know, it was just like I'd not stopped learning, but then all I wanted to do was learn something that felt so right in my soul. You know, it was just so, every day I was like addicted to going. I was like, I have to be there every Tuesday, every Sunday, you know, I have to go. And I was so committed to going. And then I started reading tarot cards in 2017, and it really just spiraled from there. I started to really feel kind of empowered in my own right. And a lot of the readings I was doing ended up healing myself as a reflection of self. And it was just such a transformational journey. Then I started incorporating mediumship into it, and worked quite a lot with spirit world, and I worked very closely with spirit guides and people in spirit world. That's a massive kind of thing of mine. It's only really as then obviously 2020 came, and that just blew everything up, and my focus really shifted to like, I was beating the drum, I was at every protest, I was like, you know, just raving. And then obviously, like all of us in 2021, I kind of felt that pull back from that. And I really started to think, okay, I've done my bit. I've spread all the seeds of awakening. You know, it's up to them to water it now. I need to go start creating this thing I've been preaching about. You know, it's all good and well talking about it, but what is there if we're not creating something new? And then it kind of dawned on me when I'd created the name of my business in 2017 that it was so relevant, because it was really going to be a center for people to be able to not just get a reading and then go, or not just come for a healing session, or not just buy some affirmation cards, but to really feel like they have a place. You know, that's the vision that I have in mind, almost like a literal like soul school, a center. You know, that's why Lucy's vision really just overlaps with a lot of mine. But yeah, and it's going back, because I'm off on a tangent now, let's go back. But yeah, so then obviously a lot of the ascension really hit, and there was a lot of the darker energy around, and that was a really intense time for me. You know, it was probably one of the hardest, harder than the illness, harder than the mental illness. It was genuinely one of the hardest, most traumatizing times I've ever been through in my life. And the worst thing is, no one understands, because I'm so young, or, you know, because they're just like, well, what's she on about? She's off her head, you know.
Hey,
and
listen, I've had that for years.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm trying to tell my mum and my dad and my grandparents and these family members around, and I'm like, guys, like, you really don't realize, like, we're in a warfare, and you're all stood on battlefield naked with no weapons, going, yeah, me, yeah, you know. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Shoot here.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. So I really kind of focused a lot then on, I got a lot of spiritual attacks continuously. I stepped back from, I was starting to open up into channeling, working with higher dimensional beings at that time. And I took a step back because it was too intense to discern between the light and the dark at that time. That was in like September to November last
That's
time, last year.
that's happened to a lot of people.
Spirit,
But
I have a kind of a, we have a thing, you know, we work, because we work on feeling. I'm very much a empathical sentient. That's my main thing. I sense energy instantly, feel the emotions, and then I tap in and use my other senses. But the emotion is my main go-to. So when I'm working with spirit, it's like I always can feel the energetic vibration instantly, and I kind of have a knowing instantly if there's something that doesn't match my frequency. But when it came to the higher dimensional beings, I think because they're not on the human sentient level that we're at, even the light ones, the archangels, the Galactic Federation, they don't come with the same love, and they do come with love, but it's not the same energy as a human spirit, you know. So when I was trying to figure out who I'm channeling with, and who I'm talking to, it was really, really difficult. And I learned along the way to ask, show me your true vibrational frequency. If you're ever unsure and you feeling someone's trying to maybe trick you or use different energy, that worked great for me to just shut my eyes and say, show me your true vibrational frequency, and you will feel either pure love and light or not. And then obviously it's then to do, you know, techniques like sage, incense. I always wear hematite, black crystals like onyx, hematite, obsidian are fantastic to repel negative energy. Also you can use amethyst, tiger's eye, whatever. I make a lot of crystal jewelry, like little mushies. Look at that. I
that's
love
nice.
them. I make like the little polymer clear little mushroom crystals and everything like that. So all for that. I like this one as well. It's a little hand holding little crystal. But yeah, so everything from crystals, herbs. My dog's having a do. Crystal, herbs, salts, visualization techniques, putting your feet on the bare earth, in rivers, you know, just connecting with nature, bringing your spirit team forward if you're capable of that, setting a specific spirit guide or person with a role of protecting your energy 24/7. Just really being on it all the time, every minute you wake up, protecting your aura before you go to sleep, protecting your aura, having crystals at the side of your bed. It sounds extreme, but I genuinely don't know where my energy would be without this.
Sounds exhausting.
It is. It really is. And people are like, why do you do it? And I'm like, well, I don't think there's an option to not. You know, like it just feels like at this time, especially when I stood away from the protest, because when I found that calling of 3 million people walking in London, I was like, whoa, this is me, I'm here, you know. And I really felt that connection, and that I've never felt empowered like that before. I've never felt that divine energy like that, you know. But then it started to change, and then I kind of felt that bit of a middle ground. Well, what am I doing now, you know? So then I started channeling that energy into writing the ebook and making the affirmation cards, and kind of realizing I can do more instead of just giving 1 hour to one person. Not that I don't want to do that, but I can also do a couple of hours, write an ebook, write the affirmation cards, and spread that light unconditionally, and then that can keep going. So I kind of expanded the way I was, you know, using the spirituality and spreading that light from source, and really just, you know, bringing it into the now and trying to focus on the now and being in the now, rather than just being so wrapped up in, there's so much that's going on. There's so many people that are, you know, saying the truth this and the truth that, but in reality, it's more about what's your truth in your soul. Like what, it's all out there, constant distractions, constant pumping in the media, and it's just about time now for you to get off the phones and get off this distraction and just really go within and question, like, who am I? What makes me happy? Where am I going to be in 5 years' time? And how the feck can I get there? You know. Because people just don't do that, and then they wonder why they get to these ages, either my age or 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, with so much illness and disease. And it's just like your body's screaming out to you to listen, and you're just ignoring it, you know?
That's what this is all about. That's why I call it spiritual quarantine, because it's all about, I said it at the top of the show, and it's an incredible process. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really feel alive. It's and I'm, you know, as you were talking, I was getting spirits talking to me.
Beautiful. The lowest block where I am, the lights will go wherever it is. It'll be all weird.
I'm getting whoa, this is good. This is good. This is a workout.
It's my daily life. People are like, is it like this every day? And I'm like, every day. We're just doing, if you filmed my life, people would think, oh, I'm making it up. And I'm like, honestly, I'm so used to the fridge talking, the telly just coming out, my phone being took over and glitching and bringing Morse code and light coming through. I'm like, well, what, can't you just tell me it in my head? Why do you have to do it like this?
Because it's fun. They're playing.
No, I enjoy it, really. I'd get worried if they'd stopped. I'd be like, where have you gone?
Well, it's a wonderful thing, and I imagine you've been pretty busy, have you?
Yeah. To be fair, I think because my mind is so again, that's why I think I was born for it, because I just don't work like normal people, you know, like I'm just constantly, if I have a vision or an aim, it's just like I can't stop. Sometimes I overwork, and that's one of my big issues. Like I have to learn to balance it. Like I'm bad for it, you know. We're up till 3 o'clock in the morning on the laptop doing the website because I wanted it to be right, you know. I'm very a perfectionist with my own work, and I've got very high standards for what I deliver. I used to be really self-critical. I've really moved away from that. But like with my readings, it did come a lot from my age, you know, because the second I used to do like group settings, and there were a few different readers, and obviously I was always the youngest one there. And then you'd have them walk into the room to like pick which one they'd go to, and they'd all be like, "Oh no, we ain't going to the kid," you know. And because I do look young, I don't even look my age to start with, and they'd always go away. But then the one person that'd come, then their friends and family, they'd be continuously coming, because that's how it has worked, you know, being able to just kind of, it felt like I had to prove myself though, whereas I really stepped away from that now, and I bring what I bring, you know. But I still have that self push in myself to just non-stop, you know, because I'm a singer. I do music. Music is a massive. I actually bought a keyboard. I'm learning to play keyboard. That's just a random thing I just did last week. So it's how my life works. I'm like, well, why not, you know? So I just constantly learning. I have an allotment. I'm gardening. I grow my own vegetables. You know, I paint. I do a lot of spiritual artwork and a lot of like spirit guides and everything like that. You know, constantly making jewelry and all these new creations and little clay things. So, and then obviously that's without the working with past lives and Galactic Federation. I've really stepped into doing a lot of guided healing at the moment. So like guided meditations, taking them through it, but it's more intense. It's almost like a bit of energetic healing, angel healing within the guided meditation. I've done a lot with inner child, and that's been really kind of what's the word, like it's been breakthrough at the moment, because we've had a lot of, my dog's just got a toy on the floor. I do apologise.
Right.
She's ragging it around the floor, growling.
This is a dog-friendly show.
Time of a life over there. But yeah, so I've done a lot. She is just having to do. I've done a lot of inner child healing, working a lot with the men at the moment as well. With that, that's really been a massive thing. My dad struggled with depression and anxiety for many years, so it's been kind of a big thing to me, men's mental health as well as women's. You know,
it's huge, because you know, men. I mean, everybody's under attack or has been.
Yeah, but men, it's harder to talk.
That's that's right. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on, because I wanted to. You know, a lot of my guests are like 40s, 50s and above, and it's great to have somebody younger here. I actually selfishly wanted to do this video so I could show my daughter.
No, I love that. I love that.
But do you know why? It's because it's like my son last night was taking the piss out of me. He's like, "I'm so spiritual," and he's awake, but he finds it really funny that I,
yeah. But there's been this whole new thing on TikTok where it's become like this new, like a trend, and it's really quite dangerous, because they've really you know, broadcasted stuff that's dark and you know, a lot of bad stuff, and just like, oh, do this portal, do this Ouija board, and it's like, no, not do that.
Yeah. So that's the thing I was trying to get to. So my daughter's friend is very open and talks about crystals, looks into, you know, all that kind of stuff, but they've been messing with the Ouija boards and all, and I'm like going, listen, girls, you need to, you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, that's like just.
And so the other thing is, I wanted to show that you can go down this path, and it's cool, right? And it's okay. It's because seeing you makes it okay.
Yeah, man.
You know?
No, I love that. I do love that, because you never think that, you know, you'll become them people that you then look up to. But a lot of people in my own circle, like I have younger cousins and my friends, and people say, like, if I'd not have met you, and it feels like a bit of an ego thing, but then you've got to look back on a soul level and think, you know what? Know the difference my soul does make, because I'm very blunt, I'm very abrupt. That's the Yorkshire in me, you know. I'm very, don't bullshit me, straight to the point. Let's get to it, you know.
That's why God put you in Yorkshire.
Yeah, I thought that, you know, because I can't deal with the old You
Well,
know, just
listen to this.
how
I've
it
got
is.
to tell you this, right? So I was in Morocco for 10 days.
Yeah.
And at the end of the trip, my friend turned around and she said, no, at the beginning of the trip, my friend said, I hear you've gone all spiritual and religious. And I went, no,
Oh, no, 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 no.
I've not gone religious. This is that's what everybody says. I said, have you actually watched my channel? One episode. And I was like, I said, no. I said, this is a spiritual war.
Yes.
And I got called to do something and I did it, right? Because and I tried to explain it to him, but I didn't dwell on it. And we just, we just generally had a nice time and I didn't really go into things.
There is
But
something you can't. There's
I've
just
got to tell you this.
a bridge.
I've got to tell you this. So at the end of the week, lunch on Sunday by a beautiful lake in Morocco,
Yeah.
my friend's wife turned around to me and said, it's quite amazing. I went, what is? She goes, everybody you've spoken to, you've uplifted here. And they were going, they've been markified. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. That's
I
really
love
cool.
that. Yeah.
And that's the feeling I've got is that this is why I'm not worried about talking to the wrong people. This is why I'm
Mhm.
not worried about being attacked. I've got the light. I am the light, right? And every time I say it, I get this
I know.
shudder.
I just got that feeling. I was like, wow, yeah, I felt that.
Yeah, and we are,
Yeah.
and it's not an ego thing. It's
No, no,
just
no.
it is what it is,
Mhm.
and it's owning that is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Owning it
Stepping into
without
that, yeah, being
yeah,
able to, like, step up because I kind of the way I did it was like, well, yeah, I'd own it while I was reading, and then the second I'd stopped reading, it was like self-doubt, criticism, the human brain had kicked back in, and it was just like all this, own my own trauma, my own insecurities would surface back up. So it really was about addressing that and being able to just not just do it while I'm reading and not just do it while I'm channeling, but then to be able to sit and talk about it and to be like, hang on, no, like I'm not, you believe what you want to believe, that's absolutely fine, but you can't take my beliefs and my what feels so true to me in my soul away from me because I know what that is, it's so true.
well, even the word belief is something that I try to avoid because
Yeah, I
you
do
know
agree.
when people say that to me, I go, you know, they say, "Oh, you believe this is happening," and I said, "No, I don't believe anything. I know it.
Yes, exactly.
It's
It's
a
a
knowing.
knowing, inner
It's
knowing
a
in the
knowing."
sense. Yeah.
And
But for
we,
a
and
while, I think I did struggle with that. It was like I'd do the readings and I'd believe in it, but then it would just want like it is now. It just want this, there'd be people that go, well, how does it work? And I'd sit there and explain it to them, on such a basic level. Even though I knew how it worked, I didn't need to justify that. You can easily go do that on Google, but I felt the need to justify what I do and explain it and make that normalized because for me it felt so. I'd just done a criminology and law degree, and everyone's like, "What you doing? Where you going with this?" And I was like, "Well, I need to do." That won't working for me. I thoroughly enjoyed my degree. I studied ethics and philosophy. I was so love learning, but it just got to the point where I just didn't agree with the way it was taught and to be fair, my criminology degree was fantastic in that way because they actually taught us to criticize the system. So that's probably one of the only degrees that you can do. That I learned a lot about corruption and the statistics, and so much. My eyes were actually opened a lot on that course, and it really allowed me to look into the minds of different people with different frequencies. Now I understand the full picture to it because I have the higher knowing, but it really is relevant. I have so much. I use it a lot in my career now, so it was definitely a stepping stone I needed to take. But yeah, the belief was hard to that knowing was hard to step into in like the more day-to-day life, especially when you have like family members taking the piss. Like, God bless my dad, I love him, and he don't diss it, but he'll call me Mystic Meg, Septic Peg, and it's just
Peg,
he makes
that's
them dad joke, but
that's
God
so
bless
Yorkshire.
his soul, I do. It is open, but it just doesn't choose to help himself
But
right now.
do you know what it is though? It's like when my kids take the piss, it just grounds me,
Mm, mm.
and that's I'm really grateful for that.
I learned to let it, and now the tables have shifted with the kind of this year in the past 8 months. There's been so much surfacing of raw emotion that it's
Yeah,
almost like the jokes and the banter of it and the surface laughter. Obviously, so you still have humor, but that piss taking shit's kind of gone a little bit, and there's a lot more people that are like, right, okay, so what do I need to do? Where do I start? And a lot more serious questions I'm being asked by people I don't expect as well. And it's really humbling me to think, wow, if these people can get to that level into this time, then we have got hope for a lot more people to be able to come online and activate, because there is only some of us that were meant to activate years ago, that were meant to kind of go through it. I mean, I laugh because what I went through in 5 years now takes them 10 minutes, and I'm like, are you having me on? You know, like I spent years there, but it's great. It's wonderful to watch that transition and the powerful energy and the shifting and the higher consciousness being able to be at that level, to bring that in the now, and the instant kind of creation into the now is just it's phenomenal to see. Sometimes I still get quite, thrown back by it, especially when I'm out and I just see about 20 UFOs and 15 shooting stars or whatever they are, little flying battles going on. I'm like, they're fighting up there. It's madness.
I know.
It just sometimes feels like this is not even what is Earth.
I know, and I love it.
I do.
I had a couple of really funny incidences last week. I'm just remembering them. I was driving at night, and I had three people in the car, and in Morocco, there's packs of wild dogs everywhere, right? And in the headlights, suddenly appeared these 4 dogs, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I weaved, but I didn't hit one of them, and everybody was fine. And the kids in the back were going, "That was unbelievable! How did you do that?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And then the next day, one of the girls that were there dropped a glass, and she was looking over here, and the glass fell off the table, and literally her hand just went out like that, like Spider-Man, like
Yeah, instant response.
and I was like, "Hey, this is really interesting," because
Yeah,
these little superpowers are creeping in,
yep,
and
100%.
and the girl that did that, I started talking to her about. She's my friend's daughter. I started talking to her about some of this stuff, and and I talked to her mother about levitating.
Oh, me, yeah, we was on about that.
Yeah, because she said, "Yeah, I levitated
Yep,
when I was a kid," and then I spoke to her daughter, and she said, "Yeah, she taught me how to levitate, and I did as well."
yeah.
And I was like,
I
"Whoa!"
was like, this is my next lesson. I'm going to learn how to fly me. I'm going to learn how to levitate. That's what I said. That's my next thing to learn. Because I
But
got
no,
to a point where I were like, so I've learned spirits, I've learned aliens, high dimensionals, I've done past that. What do I do next? And they were like, right, now you're ready. And I'm like, I'm ready, But no, then that's when I took the step back. I was like, no, I'm not ready actually. And it is interesting. Just wanted to let you know you've got a beautiful Indian stood behind you. Very,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. That's
beautiful.
my spirit guide.
Healing your heart, is holding his hand over your
No, he's
heart.
amazing. He's amazing. I keep seeing his face,
Yeah,
and he, when you said earlier about having your spirit guide there protecting you, he's been amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm very,
mine is up there. My little chief, I've got him. It's my little. I got this from a charity shop. It's one of the best thing I've ever got. But it's got my dream catchers, which I absolutely love. My wolf, my white wolf with his paw, and my little chief with his spear, and he's genuinely one of the beautifulest things. But yeah, my chief is one of mine. So I seen him. I was like, "Is that you, my chief?" And I seen he's different. He's taller and he's darker skin, darker hair, big hair, a lot
big,
more hair than my
big
Indian.
nose.
Yeah, a lot more. They're showing like big. I think that's maybe because he's wiser or ancient, because he's got like big dreads, like really big long hair. So they're just talking about the feathers in his hair and stuff. Very ancient wisdom. But
Do you know his
yeah,
name?
they were saying like they was channeling to me more of an akashic name. So they were saying like Akmaha, Akmaha. So I don't know
Akmaha.
if that's a word or a name, but they were saying like Akmaha. They was repeating it in me, but they said you can call him Ak for short. That's what he said.
Wow, brilliant. Because
Yeah,
I've been trying to get his name for
but
years.
it's like, yeah, Akmaha. Yeah,
Akmaha.
he's almost like I don't know if I said this last time, but they keep telling you need to dance to drums, shamanic drum. They're like they want you up by the fire dancing with the drums. There's
Wow,
a lot of
that's
energy that needs
what I'm going to be doing in Morocco.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. They need
I
you
do love
actually
banging the drums.
when you stood there, and that's when they said you'll receive the divine activation in the crown between the jaw. They're talking a lot between your jaw. Do you know? I don't know if it was like a literal beheading in a past life, for knowing so much in the higher consciousness, for being such a powerful healer. And it's like that fear and the disconnect between the jaw. It's all manifesting in this area and around the throat.
Yes,
So
my
it's
throat. My
yeah,
throat's
yeah,
been
yeah. I
rough.
felt a lot in my throat this morning. I thought this is not. So this makes a lot of sense, and it's all connecting up with the back and in the bottom of the neck. So I definitely would focus on getting Arak over here to help clear out that. And the shamanic dancing is when you'll receive them like codes in your body will literally like almost be levitating. The vibrations that you will feel is just going to unlock and release that stagnant energy. You will be clearing it before then, but the last of it, the remnants will be fully removed
Yeah,
at
it
that
feels
point.
like it's the last of it
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But Did you see the film I did about dragon riding with Huna Flash?
I seen some of it, but I actually had to go to an appointment at the time. But I did see the. I don't know if it were a different one where you and Lucy and I don't know if it was someone else was talking about it a little bit. I think it was on one of the lives maybe that I
Yeah.
caught it on. You
Well,
know,
that
I
was
remember,
like really shamanic and
right.
amazing,
Yes,
and that activated a portal inside me,
right.
and life's just been like really magical since then. But it's interesting that his name is Akmaha because it's got ma in it, and
Yeah.
regular
Ah, yes. Okay.
regular viewers of this channel will know that the ma is really interesting to
It's
me.
so, yeah, yeah, yeah. So interesting. So yeah, that is very interesting actually. Very, very, very much. He's showing me a very kind of, I don't know if it's a rare crystal or just a rare looking one, but it's kind of like jasper with black like obsidian inside it. So I'm not sure if this is a new one you will be getting because it looks really raw, almost like you might find it, you know. So it's like baraciated jasper where it's like kind of broken up with the black running through it, the obsidian running through it. So that'll be a very powerful stone. Make sure you keep that close. Yeah, so I just had to go there. They won't let me not. But yeah, he's very powerful at this time in your mission. But that's the thing, like it's about realizing like all of us get this, you know, when we're having chief tattoos and swallow tattoos, and why are you drawn to that? Why were I so obsessed with dream catchers my whole life? Like what is this obsession that we have with these things when we're not knowing? It's the subconscious channeling the messages to us, and it just becomes so much easier, I think, when you like, so don't be fair, you have all the challenges, but the easiness between having that communication with yourself, knowing what's going on with you, knowing what's around you, like when you have that flow of energy, like I always visualize it like different levels. Like when I'm working, I'm fully open. When I'm kind of, there's different state when I'm like just talking with other high conscious people, I am open, not as much as working, but I'm still open. When I'm not doing anything like that, I'm quite closed off because I'm very sensitive in the solar plexus. So in big crowds, I'm very much switched off on all the chakras other than the crown and the third eye, which I keep slightly open for kind of emergency cases only. You know, if you need to pull the intuition through, which will always come in the gut, but I just turn that way down because a lot of us younger people have stomach problems and digestion issues and a lot of issues in this area. And for me, it's because they were born so activated, so in tune, so connected to the divine and that source energy of mass connected consciousness. It's too overwhelming, too overpowerful for them to even understand their own emotions and their own traumas, never mind everyone in the classroom and everyone in the train station. And they're just like an empath is an emotional sponge that magnets emotion to you. So as you're walking in that classroom, that train, all the places, you're just sucking and sucking and sucking in all the energy. And then if you're not grounding, protecting, cleansing your auric field, you're just keeping it in. And then there's no wonder why there's the aches, the headaches, the pains, and the doctors can't explain it. And then it manifests into more physical ailments, and there's alterations that are needed, and the alterations that are then actually fully displacing the whole physical vessel's use and changing the whole soul path, really, because we just don't listen. We just don't listen to the inner voice inside and think, oh, hang on a minute, maybe that energy when I first met that person, maybe they are a twat. Maybe I shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I should just listen to what I thought at first.
Well,
And
this whole channel for me has been all about that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I've fallen out with a few people,
Oh yeah,
but
I
it's
got fair
okay.
hairs of that. Yeah,
It's okay, you
yeah.
know. And I've been accused of being, taken over by the dark, and I've had all
Well,
sorts of
I've been called a cult leader. That was
well,
my
well,
favorite.
me too.
I was like, a cult leader? This is a new one. And I really got that one. That one did make me chuckle, to be fair. But she did since then apologise and say, I really helped her out of an abusive relationship and da da da. So I appreciated the outreach, and there's a lot, no beef there, all harmony. But it
Yeah,
really made me reflect. I was like, is this
no,
what
my
people
my
think?
daughter said to me in the car about 3 weeks ago. She goes, "Daddy, you in a cult?" I went, "No." That was the joke I did at the Great Awakening tour in Birmingham in May. I got on stage and I said, "How does it feel being in a cult?"
No, but you do get that label. But the thing is, what makes it so much different to religion and to things like that is I really don't care what people do, whether they want to do anything to do with spirituality, healing, awakening, mindfulness, whatever you want to do. As long as they ain't that shit, you go do that. You do whatever. Don't do it my way. Do it the way that calls to your soul, but
Yep.
at least figure that out first and discern between you know, other energies that might be influencing your decisions. As long as you've got that in check, off you go and do your thing, you know.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
don't read a book.
I mean, you know, all religions have one thing in common: they're dogmatic. Whereas
Mhm.
this evolving spirituality is not dogmatic, and it's all about thinking for yourself and finding your own path. And
Mhm.
that's what makes it so interesting. And it's just a question of, as you say, listening.
Yeah, just listen. It's always there. Sometimes it's quietened out by the noise and the trauma and the distractions. But if you
which is
really,
why
yeah,
the Matrix was created the way it was, to keep us
mm,
so busy.
and they're
I mean,
so
can
clever
you
about it.
can you
So
imagine,
clever.
can you even imagine sitting down and watching TV in the evening?
Oh, no, 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 definitely not.
I
I
tried
usually
it. I
watch
tried
the odd
it last year.
this channel. There is the odd time, like, where I like to watch, you know, something to turn the mind off because my mind is so active. Like, I just don't stop. It's continuous from, you know, literally it goes from thinking about aliens to walking the dogs to watering the tomato plants and, you know, it just, so then I make a lot of lace. I have a lot of, you know, I find my zone. But sometimes it's nice while I'm painting. I'm usually doing something else as well, obviously. But while I'm doing something else, I don't mind a bit of background as long as it's not brainwashing indoctrination stuff. I'm all right with listening to something that I really wouldn't necessarily put on when I'm in this mindset, ready to have this conscious at this level of higher consciousness. But I don't mind watching something that, as long as I find it, you know, not down. So sometimes, like, what's a good example? Because I really don't do it often, but it's a bag of, like, a lot of it sounds like it's a bag of shit, but
Back in shite.
bag of shit. But yeah, no, I can't think of an example. But the point is, I don't, you know, even want other people to feel judged. Like, you know, some of my friends, they do watch telly sometimes, but they still, you know, do the healing and that. They don't sit there watching Corey or, you know,
Hey,
continuous.
mind you, did you see that thing last week on Coronation Street that
No, no.
there was a whole scene of red pilling?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
I
because they,
started to notice
you know,
it.
because they've used the soaps to do the brainwashing. And
Mhm.
now, my friend was in it a couple of years ago in Cora, and I was shocked at the propaganda that he was pushing
Yeah.
as an actor. But now they're red pilling people.
Well, it's interesting because obviously we've kind of got to this point where there is quite a lot of people, like, that's what I was saying. I was watching something, I did actually turn it off, but it was that Married at First Sight, and I was watching it and I was laughing because I was saying there's always now one person, at least one, that knows about, not necessarily the level that others are at, but knows about crystals and about energy. And it's really nice to see the normalization of, you're not a weirdo, you're not a witch, you're not a woo-woo, you know, you can still be a normal person living a normal life, you know, because the problem I get is there's a pedestal that gets created. So because I'm reading and I'm at this level, bang, bang, you know, I'm bringing this level of information and healing through, you know, there's kind of then this misconception that, well, I'm not at their level at any point. Well, I'm not dealing with that trauma. Well, no, we are. We're all in the same boat. None of us have a fucking clue what's going on. We're just riding the wave at the same time, you know? We're literally just going through it at the same time. And when you have this experience where people are like, wow, you did that for me. And I'm like, nah, I just showed you how to do it yourself. You know,
Yeah.
I hate the word when people go, oh, you're so gifted. I'm like, I'm not, because I just learned how to use the abilities you have got and you do not use. You know, it's
Yeah.
no different to not smelling or seeing or using your voice, your throat, your eyes. It's the exact same thing. It's just about learning. And I'm a fast learner, so I learn fast. And I'm a what's the word? A practical learner. I like to learn on the job, so I learn as I go. So, and other people don't, you know.
Let's just show everybody what you've been up to. This is your website, spiritualsoulcenter.co.uk. So it's very nice.
Well, yeah, we missed out the images, Lord.
Yeah. You got your readings, you've got your affirmation card. I love the fact that you are doing all of these things all at the same time, because you know, I've had a long history of trying to teach spiritual people that you should earn money
Yeah.
while we're in the money system.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
while doing that, I do a lot of exchange of services because I work with a lot of, you know, healers and readers and people that work on that level. So we do usually, like my friend, she does beautiful healing massages. So we exchange that. I do the guided healing for her. She does the healing massage for me, and we do, like, I love working on exchange basis. But yeah, it took me a while to get that kind of self love and self worth. You know, to not feel uncomfortable actually doing that, because people, you know, have this expectation, well, why don't you do it for you? Like, because I won't be able to live, you know. And that's the
well,
same thing.
that's
You
the whole thing. That's what I've been trying to
have,
get across to people for years. It's like,
yeah.
yes, we all know where we're going. There's not going to be any money, but at the moment there is, and you've got
Yep.
to, if you
Yep.
want clothes and to live somewhere and to eat, you need money,
And
and it's
yeah,
pragmatic. But if you
and
can mix it in with exchanges, if you can
yeah,
mix it in with pay what you can afford, so nobody's excluded. If you mix all
that,
that together, that's the transition period that we're going through. That's the way I see it. It's a transition. You've got to be pragmatic right now, take care of your family, but have that in mind, and bring in exchanges or whatever it is that you need to do. But get over yourself and
and
stop
that
being so judgmental, because there's so much spirituality has been, the whole.
converted.
It was more dogmatic than religion.
Yep,
You
100%.
know, I've said this many times. I remember going on a ayahuasca retreat, and I felt as if people were judging me by the fact that I didn't have spiritual clothes.
Jesus Christ.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah, yeah,
they're all
yeah.
walking around with their feathers sticking out their ass, and
Yeah, yeah.
and
I know.
moleskin trousers, and I'm there in a shirt and jeans, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm dressed spiritually enough.
Yeah, yeah, but it does create that question. You've just reminded something actually, because I just wanted to mention that I experience a lot with, because obviously there's the younger people as well, and a lot of people I know that use psychedelics, they use it for recreational
Yep,
gain,
yep,
and they're like, oh, let's go do this at camping. And don't get me wrong, it's all great and well. And
yep,
I was one of these people at first. I never touched anything. I'm literally like a little scared ninny. My whole life, I just wasn't interested in it, in anything, other than a bit of weed. We'll stay with that, but nothing else. I just didn't like anything, I just wasn't interested. And then last year, I started to look into magic mushrooms, and the beautiful experiences. I learned more in one night than I did in a year in some of them, mind blowing. Like everything that I actually knew, I then knew, I
yep,
understood it on a different
yep,
level. It was
yep,
beautiful. But then what I realized is when you don't do it in ceremonial practice, or if you do it around energies that you're not 100% sure of their true vibrational, I actually got, trigger warning, protect your energy, everyone, a really bad psychic demonic attack on only a gram. But it was genuinely one of the most traumatizing things I've ever been through. I can't take anything that's more, like I can take the microdose, but at the moment, for my energy, it feels like I need to be quite guarded and on my discernment. And because I was at that level of consciousness where I wasn't, that's why I felt I was susceptible to that. So I now practice in only microdoses. I'm not saying that's what everyone needs to do. I'm saying make sure that if you are of the light and of like myself, that's kind of, for lack of better words, an easy target for dark entities, or a target for dark entities, because there's such a light, and kind of the naivety that I possessed when going into that. Now I know I am so strict with the grounding and the protection and setting the intention and the vibration and the energy of who's around. And I think it's really important for young people to know that they can be amazing, they can be beautiful, they can be life changing, and cure your depression and over time, and absolutely amazing. But they also are a gateway to higher consciousness and other dimensions, which means in this gateway you are susceptible as an energetic being to vibrations of all different frequencies. And if your energy is not protected 100% and you are not in full control, that was the problem with me. I was disconnected from my body and I couldn't get back, and it felt like they were trying to get in my body and take over, and I couldn't get back quick enough. Obviously I did, but it was woo, touch and go, and it was
well,
one of the awfulest experiences.
somebody brought this up to me the other week and said similar kind of thing, and I was like, I've said for a while that my job is to throw myself in front of the bus and then report back to everybody.
Yeah,
And yeah, I died, but it was great, and I'm fine. And I learned something about 10 years ago, and that was that with ayahuasca in particular, that she comes to you when you're ready. And
yeah,
a lot of people say, even last week, somebody said to me, I'd find it terrifying. And I was like, well, I was terrified.
yeah,
I remember being terrified at the idea. We did loads of research on it. Well, what I learned was that it does come to you when you need it. And
mhm,
I've done mushrooms in ceremony, and it is very important to do all that protection stuff. But I've also done it when I've had a drink, and it's all good. What I'm
yeah,
trying to explain is that even if you have a bad perceived bad time,
yeah.
all it does is help you
Yeah,
strengthen
it
yourself.
was. It was. Yeah, I think there is definitely. I'm really glad you said that, because the amount that I then learned to be able to spread that knowledge
Yeah,
to everyone,
yeah,
unbelievable. But I think the reason why I get cautious on it is, and in no way am I trying to discourage anyone or claim that I know more or know better, but most people my age don't have the knowledge I have on what
Yeah,
I know. Most people are
absolutely.
like, we're a bad trip, you know, you just had a bad, and I was like, nah, they were telling me, I was like, nah, you're wrong, you know, because I knew what I knew.
Yeah.
But in the difference with that, I feel like it took everything of all my knowing and all my power to bring my guides forward and bring myself out of that experience. I feel like, you know, not everyone can, you
No,
know, and I
well, this is the thing. Not everybody can, and you got, you know, I tell my kids, look, mushrooms, they're from God.
yeah,
Um, you know,
100%.
cannabis is
Well,
from
they
God.
found it. Yeah.
You know, ayahuasca's from God. Peyote's from God. Cocaine, stay away from that. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
stay away. It's just because,
Brain fizzling, melting, you know. No, thank
but the
you.
fact that they're even classified as drugs is annoying because it's
Yeah,
not
no,
true.
it really
Not
frustrates,
true.
criminalised, the demonised. You know, for
It's
years I
devastating.
had that stigma because I smoke weed. I don't really drink. Can't drink alcohol. It makes me really ill. So I do smoke, and that's kind of the thing that people, if anything, target about me. You know, and now I'm just like, well, I don't care, you know. What do you want me to say? I love what I do, and you know what? There is that judgment I sometimes feel from other spiritual people,
Oh
not
yeah.
even normal people. It's more other spiritual people like, well, you shouldn't need anything. I'm like, well, I don't need it. It just makes this human experience a hell of a lot more enjoyable.
Well, you know, I've said many times the whole last couple of years has shown everybody up for who they really are, which
Yeah,
is is an amazing thing. And we're at the stage now where, you know, I was reading something this morning from a big influencer online, and what they were saying was, soon all those people that slagged us off over the last 2 years are going to have to eat my dirt. And I was like, hang on,
it's such an ego
that's
thought.
not right. The ego's all mixed up with that,
Yeah,
because the last thing people should be doing is going, see, I told you so.
yeah. Look at
I
this.
was
Yeah,
right. Aren't I brilliant? I was like, no, there's something wrong here. You know, it's really a time of not judging anybody, and
and creating
compassion and
space, holding
forgiveness,
space.
holding
Yeah,
space. We've
yeah.
got to hold the space because they're going
Because
to
not
need.
everyone can understand. And I think there's many opinions on it. I think there's many different timelines that can happen. I know we're going to step into a love and light vibration, but the way it's going to go, the way that the specific details, I just kind of flow with that as I go. But I do feel now that I have a knowing that not all of us, not all of them, sorry, are going to know how bad it was, because I don't think all of them can handle the detail we knew. They might get their bullet subheadings, but I really don't think they will have to experience the depth of what we all some of us had to see, because we were the ones that had to step up and make that first change. So now the changes are done. It's more to create. It's like I heard that analogy. I don't know where I heard it, but it was one of the best ones I've ever heard about the cutting the bush down to
Yeah,
create the. I fucking love that. It was great,
I
and
think that
it's
was me.
yeah, I loved it. I use it now in my readings. I'm like, yeah, you know, I really like that. I'm like, I can't remember where I heard it, but it's great. But it is, and it's so true, because we've done a lot of that slower, harder, drudgy work to get through to this holding the light. And now the light's there, it is easier for them to walk through. And so it should be, because that's the way it were meant to be. So we can't have this like resentment and heaviness of like, oh, we, you know, well, they didn't know what we know, and we need to be right, because we were right and we are right. Whatever's your truth is your truth. That's the whole point. And it's about just being able to let go of that need for validation from others, because
I,
that's all it is.
I couldn't give a shit if we
Yeah,
get to where we're going to go. I'm
yeah,
quite happily disappearing and just.
exactly. However, I used to need that validation of kind of, oh well, everyone's, you know, then I was the same, you know, well maybe one day they will see it and they'll know the truth. And then it's like, well, that was my own inner child seeking external validation for what I was talking about and feeling confident to step into it. Now I know what I know. I couldn't care less whether they know, whether they end up knowing or not. The point is, are they going to shift the consciousness? That's the end goal, isn't it? That's the whole point for the whole.
That's the
But
end goal. As long as they shift consciousness, that's the end goal, isn't it?
as long as we get there, Galactic Federon team, we'll be it will be.
Well, I'll drink Yorkshire tea and be happy about it.
Do you know, I was bad. I used to drink about 15 cup of teas a day, and then I realised like I didn't even know they had that much caffeine in them. So I had to switch to decaf, and now I just drink mainly herbal tea. But the odd time I do still need a good cuppa. Not often though, not like I used to. I had to detox from that. It was a bit of an issue.
Yeah, well, caffeine's
It was bad. Yeah, I don't like coffee, but I didn't realize that caffeine, tea had so much caffeine in it. Like I went to this stress therapy
Tea's got
course.
more caffeine than coffee.
Yeah. When she told me, I was like, nah, this stress group, and I was like, you're wrong. And I looked it up, and it really truly did. I did not know that.
Yeah,
It's
well,
very
coffee and caffeine have been one of the key weapons of mind control, actually.
definitely, definitely. Well, I never have it now, other than the decaf, which has got the minor bit in it, but not enough to maybe. I had one a few months ago, the wrong thing. I thought it was decaf. I was shaking. I was like this. I was like Jesus. I didn't realise it had that much of an effect.
It does. And it's only when you go off it that you go back on it that you
Yeah,
realize.
it was a 3 week detox that I noticed. I just want to pick an affirmation
Yeah.
for everyone. So these are my deck, but I'm just gonna pick one for us all because they're channeled to align the mind, body, and soul. So they're like little mini readings, every day, kind of a focus for you to put your energy on. But they really work on there's various different levels in there. So it kind of speaks about, simply aligning your chakras and meditating. All the way there's one in there about helping the earth shift to a 5D consciousness. But what I find funny about it is I've never seen someone that wouldn't understand that message pick a card of that level. So they really do tailor to kind of what you need at that time, which means they're quite good to go through your journey with you because you can start off quite on a simpler level. And even sometimes on our level, we need to just check on the chakras. We need to do a bit of meditating. So it's quite interesting. I am biased, but I absolutely love them. They are wonderful. I've had nothing but good feedback. So that one's an interesting one, kind of what we've been talking about today. Oh, very suited. Loving it. Right, so we've got I am at one with my pain and trauma. I own it. It is mine to claim and release. Today I am claiming and releasing my pain. So that's for all of us to know that this heaviness that kept us at this level, whether it was a childhood trauma, sexual abuse, relationship trauma, mental health, or simply just not feeling validated and having space to talk about your emotions or being called a drama queen or whatever it was, it's really time to kind of stop letting that define your actions and your ways of being and stop letting that define who you are because you are so much more than the pain that is making you yourself in these trauma responses and defense mechanisms. So it's really important to be able to acknowledge firstly what pain you're carrying. That might take months, that might take a year. It's just about doing it slowly and not rushing it, one thing at a time, and slowly releasing the energy out of your chakras and out of your body and out of your mind so that you're not defined by the pain. Then we've got this one's actually really interesting as well because there's a lot of focus on the womb. I've been doing a lot of womb healing for a lot of women at the moment, and men in the sacral chakra because obviously they had wombs in past life. It's just a bit awkward when people don't know, and I'm like, bro, your womb's a bit affected, So there is definitely sacral chakra energy. So it's my sacral chakra is aligned, healed, and open. Today I'm focusing on the sacral and or womb. So it's really about both men and women to focus on feeling confident, feeling creative, feeling passionate, but also being able to kind of look at yourself and feel sexy and feel like a sexual being and not cringe and not be, because that comes from a place of trauma, from a place of not feeling validated, not feeling held and loved and accounted for, and also releasing again any of that pain connected with that trauma from this life or the previous ones, whether that's childbirth, passing, miscarriages, being able to just kind of not disconnect, but disconnect the physical symptoms of that trauma and release that away. But again, I offer a lot of them services on my website, specifically the womb healing and the chakra healing and all the healing. And the last one, which I think really sums everything up beautifully: I am a free sovereign being. Nothing or no one dictates my future. Today I am standing tall in my truth.
Oh,
Love that. That was
Love that.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, remember everyone, you will create your own reality, and it's so important to create the reality you want to live in. And by doing that, it's about controlling the thoughts and being in alignment with the mind, body, and soul. And you can do it. It's not necessarily easy, but it is doable. And it's just
I think it is easy.
Well, I did find it easy, but maybe that was it.
I keep telling people it is easy because that's part of watching your thoughts. Because if you say, "Oh, it's really,"
yeah, I totally agree. Contradictory in itself there. Maybe it's due to the time that I went through and the length of it. It just felt so fucking drawn out, and I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah, but
I was like, are we ever gonna get through this? Or
that's why you had to go through all that trauma, because that's your path to become a strong, powerful healer.
Yeah, 100%. The knowing.
You chose it.
I know. I sit there and I'm like, fuck, you really have to choose this intense, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
It's true, and it is true, and we're all on his own soul path and his own soul mission, and it's just about really, being able to figure out what that is and how you can get there and how you can live a life. Like I used to be terrified of water and the sea. Now I go jumping in the oceans, wild swimming in rivers, freezing cold in New Year's Day, like, and I couldn't love it more. I feel so alive and so connected and so at peace, and really for my whole existence, I really have not felt like that. So it's so nice to find that. And I just want to help other people feel like that too. And there is so many different ways. And there's not just me, there's a few of us that I've trained up and a couple of team members that can offer multiple different things. And just don't feel even like, again, if you can't afford it, just drop us a message, even if you just need someone to talk to and just a bit of a, conversation to just feel like you're not alone in this world, because it's pretty intense. And sometimes when you're not around anyone that understands, you need just someone that gets you.
I think you're going to be very busy over the next couple of months.
I hope so. I'm coming to Soul School in Bournemouth, and then I'm coming to the Cosmic Pursuit in Manchester, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
so excited. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Oh, wow.
So you'll definitely be seeing more of me.
Well, we'll get you on stage.
Oh, I'd love that. Get me up. I'll do
Yeah.
a little song. Do you know what I'd love to sing? Iron Sky by Paolo Nutini, because to me, it's the revolution song. It's
his former drummer lives in this town.
Oh, wow, how interesting. That, to me, that song, oh, I can't put into words. Like, everyone go Google Paolo Nutini, Iron Sky. And for me in 2020, when I felt so alone and like no one understood and I was going mental, like, is no one seeing what I'm seeing? Is this just me or what? Why are none of you feeling like this? And I was sat there and I was crying, sobbing, like, oh no, I'm feeling sorry for myself and that. And then the song just came on randomly. And I think I'd heard it like years before, but not really listened to it. And it just, we are proud individuals. And I just heard
Wow.
it. I was like, oh my God. And I just sat there mesmerized by it, sobbing. And for me, woof, and then I was yeah, you feel it. And then when I was protesting down in London, I was walking, well, obviously with millions of them, and the guy in front of me had a big speaker, and it came on, and I was like, nah, and it was on my live feed, and everyone was just singing it, and I was like, mate, this is the song of the future. Like, the words in it, especially when it does that, speaking bit, like, wow, it's just so phenomenal. It really it just gave me so much hope in time where I didn't have a lot, so it means a lot to me, that song.
Ooh.
So I
Wow.
definitely would like to activate with that.
Yeah, well, Charlie Freak has done a lot of really good work on decoding divine messages in songs and music,
Oh,
and even subconsciously from the artist's point of view. And
yeah,
have
definitely.
you looked into Donald Marshall as well? Have you looked
Oh,
into
I
him?
haven't actually. I'll write that down. I will definitely look into him.
I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
Start a YouTube channel.
I know, right? I had anxiety about it for a long time,
I don't
mainly
care.
because I
Stop
felt
that.
but now I'm
Stop
ready.
it.
I'm ready.
Stop it.
Ready. Ready. No, I agree. I totally agree.
Why do you want to be buried alive in a box? Stop it.
No, I'm so
Why
excited.
would you do
I'm
that?
really excited to meet you both. To meet both you, Lucy, everyone. I'm just so buzzing. I'm
Well,
really.
I was supposed to do Soul School with Lucy, and then this American thing booked, and
Yeah. You've got the tour.
can't do it now. Yeah, you're gonna love Lucy.
Oh, I'm so excited to meet her. I actually bumped into her at a protest, but I was in a bit of shock. I was like, oh my God. Like, I didn't even know. I was filming, and then she was just behind me. I was like, whoa. So, no, I'm really excited to meet her when I feel a lot more confident in my own, because I was still in quite a vulnerable place then. So, yeah, I'm really excited to.
No, you need to start a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Start doing readings. Your personality is amazing. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to introduce you to everybody.
No,
And
I am so grateful for what you do and the opportunity with this platform. It's just, it's unbelievable that all of us can get together in this way. There's many negative things about the internet, but this is one of the most beautiful things about it. Like, we can connect from all over, and not just spread with us two, but then spread that message wide. And it really is beautiful, because that's how the change comes. That's how we're going to make the new earth and help everyone feel like they can step into their mission and stand up. And then if we're all on this mission, then we're all doing it, aren't we? Happy days.
as you said that, a massive apple just fell off my apple tree.
Oh, that's my granddad. We have a apple tree planted for him in remembrance. So it's just making it known that he's there. I love him. We love him. He's one of my main guys.
This room is full.
Honestly, I bring armies of ancestors. And today, when I was feeling a bit nervous, I went for a walk on my canal and I was like, listen, guys, you better show up. And then it was just like, when I started, it was like, I felt it this overwhelmed. And do you know what? They never let me down. Never. I never feel alone now. That's the difference. Like, working with a spiritualist is not, you know, you don't need to work with spirit. You don't need to do that to never feel alone. I just have that extra backup and I love it. You know, I wouldn't have changed anything about it. I love my whole journey. And I'm really glad it's brought me here today to be spreading this message and hopefully many more future messages to come.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, anyone that wants a pack of these beautiful little cards, just get in touch. I have got an ebook, but it's awaiting publication. It's called Light Up Your Life. It's mainly just about, well, it's about a lot of things, but you know, a lot of things we've talked about, aligning the mind, body and soul, mental health, you know, detoxification, wild swimming, meditation, opening up, you know, kind of self-love, self-worth, a lot of what I spoke about today, a lot of that's in the book, but in a little bit more detailed. It's only a short, I think it's about 30 odd pages, 40 pages. So it's
when you bring it out, let me know and I'll send it out to people on my email list.
Yeah, man. I'm looking for a publisher though. Well, I'm trying to self-publish first. I'll try and do that first. But yeah, I don't really know anything about it, to be honest. I know how to write a book, but publishing it is not my thing.
You know, I've done a course on this.
Oh, well, I'll like to do that.
Yeah, go and do the course. Links below. It's called Monetize What's Already in Your Head.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to have to go. It's wonderful to speak to you. Everybody watching this, please support Anya. And
thank you, guys. It was beautiful.
And I look forward to seeing you in Manchester.
Me too. I'll be coming on my own because all tickets sold out. So I'm just rocking up on my own because I bought mine for these lot. They were like, we'll buy one. I was like, well, I'm going. If you're not, I'm going.
Well, I can't even, I mean, they sold out so quick, and then people are saying, is there any spare tickets? I was like, well, you know, I told everybody about it and they just sold out. It's got
well, I got mine. I'll be there.
The venue's got a capacity. There's nothing I can do, and I can't get a second date, but we'll do another one. What I'd like to do next year is a weekend event.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, have more time with people.
Well, I'm wanting to set up retreats next year as well, so we could definitely collab with that. I want to set up mind, body and soul retreat to kind of, again, a few days doing this together with people. I feel like it's hard to do in one day, but yeah, that definitely be something we can talk about at a later date.
People are ready for all of this, and it's great that it's great. It's a real honor to introduce you to everybody. So go to spiritualsoulcenter.co.uk.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. But yeah,
send me the links. I'll put all the links in the description underneath.
Perfect.
Thank you, Anya. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was beautiful to speak to you all. Take care. Love and light always. Beautiful.
See ya.
See you. Bye.
Ta-ra.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.